Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that. We're trying to get things organized on our end, but I think everything is good. Thanks for waiting. And thank you for joining today's webinar on the AMO Notarius Pilot Initiative. If you can hear me, can you please click the raise hand button on your screen? Great, excellent. Looking good. There's also a Q&A button on your screen where you can ask your questions. Feel free to type those in as the presentations are happening, and we will note them on our end and then get them at the Q&A part of the agenda. So my name is Nicholas Reuter. I'm a research advisor with AMO. Since 2016, AMO has been actively seeking partners that can help the membership find efficiencies in their administration and operations with proven digital technologies. By now, I think most of you are familiar that AMO has partnered with Solutions Notarius as our preferred provider for a digital signature platform. This year, we engaged Notarius to run a proof of concept pilot of their digital signature solutions with several municipalities, and you'll be hearing from them shortly as well, too. So we are pleased to have Nada Belhatfa, Director of Digital Transformation from Notarius, here to provide you with an overview of her company's solutions. We also have with us Marc-Andre Jouin from the United Counties of Prescott and Russell, Donna McDougall from the Municipality of Kincardine, Josh McDougall from the Municipality of Red Lake, Steve Pellegrini from the City of Brampton, Rebecca Whalen from Dufferin County, Andrea Fay from Simcoe County. So that's all the participants that you'll be hearing from later this afternoon. So welcome, everyone. So why digital signatures? Nada will go into the deeper detail, but in a nutshell, AMO saw this as an opportunity to provide the membership with a highly secure and scalable digital tool that can help you with the management of your electronic documents and potentially find you some operational efficiencies and cost savings. So before we dive further into digital signatures, I'd like to put in a plug for AMO's Enterprise Center. We are a relatively new section of AMO. We were just established in 2016. Oh, sorry. Yep. Sorry, Karen. I will speak a bit louder. There are only two of us right now in AMO's Enterprise Center, myself and my director, Judy Dizelle. But we do have a number of activities that we are working on to create value for the membership. So our work for 2018 included exploring further digital solutions to improve municipal operations. We have recently secured a preferred partner for digital meeting management solutions to assist members with council meetings, minutes, agenda, and meeting packages, as well as many other functions. We've also posted an RFP looking for a preferred partner to provide a scalable digital CRM solution that will help members manage internal activities and public-facing requests and complaints. We put out an RFI for that earlier this fall and got good feedback from the market to convince us to move forward to RFP. So stay tuned for announcements on both of those in the not-too-distant future. So some context on our digital work. Back in June of 2016, there was a provincial cabinet shuffle which created a portfolio for a minister responsible for digital government with key responsibilities to make government services digital by default. This prompted AMO to become more engaged in digital transformation efforts going on in the sector and to start positioning and advocacy work for Ontario's municipalities in all things digital. Late in 2016, we formed a digital government task force that was tasked to write a report on digital transformation and identify opportunities for municipalities. In that paper, secure and encrypted digital signatures was seen as a tool that municipalities could use to help with electronic document management and perhaps find some efficiencies and cost savings. That paper, #OnUniOnline, is available on the AMO website for your reading pleasure. So in September of 2017, we issued an RFP for a digital signature solution and signing platform that is secure, reliable, and scalable application to the variety of municipalities that we have here in Ontario. Our evaluation team reviewed all the proposals and determined that Notarius had the strongest submission of the lot. And earlier this year, we launched the AMO Notarius Digital Signature Pilot to test digital signing solutions to determine the benefits, the challenges, the opportunities, and improvements that may be required of a broader digital signature service for the membership. So we had 6 volunteer municipalities participate in the pilot. All have implemented Notarius solutions in a variety of departments to assist with managing documents. The pilots were testing the technology for approximately 6 months. And we also had 2 of those pilots, Prescott and Russell and Kincardine, present their early findings using the solution at a concurrent session at this year's AMO conference. At AMO, we're also walking the talk. We have used the Notarius Consignment Cloud platform to sign municipal funding agreements as part of our administration of OMAFRA's Main Street Revitalization Initiative. Over 300 of the 413 municipalities that received OMAFRA funding signed agreements with the platform. So your treasurer or your clerk may already be familiar with the technology that we're about to talk about today. We are also looking to expand the use of Notarius solutions to other aspects of AMO's document management processes as well. So here's what's on tap for the rest of today's webinar. Nada will walk you through Notarius solutions and their interest in engaging with Ontario's municipalities. And you'll hear from most of the pilots about their experiences using Notarius solutions. After that, we'll have Q&A for the remainder of the webinar, and I'll wrap things up on how we see things going forward from here. For the Q&A, I just ask when you are typing your questions, to please direct your question to a specific presenter. If it's for Nada at Notarius or myself here at AMO, or for one of the municipal presenters. And so with that, I'll turn things over to Nada.
Much, Nicholas. Let me just share. Perfect. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nicholas, for that introduction. My name is Nada Velatfa. I'm Director Digital Transformation at Notarius, and my role is to help professional organizations such as municipalities in their digital transformation journey, especially when it comes to become a paperless organization and creating reliable electronic documents. I would like to set the stage of this presentation for the municipality to share their insight and feedback on how they brought efficiencies by using electronic and digital signature solutions in their day-to-day operation. So, sure. Okay, sure. Just gonna make sure. For some reason, I can't see my screen. Seems to, is it stuck on the same page, the first one?
Yeah, it's just on the digital electronic signature overview.
Okay. For some reason. Okay. Now, can you see context?
Yep, we can see context.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry about that. So, as you know, municipalities across Canada have working toward the digitization of their paper record. However, certain category of documents are excluded from that modernization. The reason why this transformation is very limited and what was missing is having a technology allowing the municipality to completely give up the paper record without sacrificing the legal reliability. As mentioned by Nicholas, AMO formed a digital government task force in 2016 to identify the digital barriers and opportunity for municipal government. They then issue a report. And one of the key technology that was highlighted in that report was digital and electronic signature. In AMO, we found a strong partner that believed in bringing value and efficiency through technology to the municipal sector in Ontario. And we, Notarius, believe in a digital ecosystem where different stakeholders can create, consume, archive reliable electronic documents. And that's why we engage with associations such as AMO and the municipality in Ontario. Let's rewind a bit, shall we? We're going to start with a clear definition of signature, electronic signature, and digital signature. So, a signature is simply a means to an end, and that end is to do two things. The first one is being the representation of someone's identity, and the second one is being the proof of someone's consent. When we look at electronic signature, we're basically talking about signature in an electronic medium. You can see the little image above my electronic signature definition. Well, that's probably the one that you're most familiar with. It's the handwritten signature, which can be the result when you sign a paper document and then you scan it. When we look at other type of electronic signature, we can think about an email signature block. You're a CEO, you're sending a communication to one of your colleagues, and you sign using your email block signature. Well, that is deemed to be an electronic signature as well. Some of you have probably experienced some form of electronic signature in a different way. You're probably familiar with what we call electronic signature platform, HelloSign, DocuSign, and all the e-sign of this world. Finally, when we look at what's a digital signature, you have to think about it as an electronic signature on steroids. It is a signature in which the reliability characteristics have been reinforced using cryptography. And the goal is to augment reliability. I really like to give an example, or let's say an analogy. See the digital signature as a digital passport. In the same way, your travel passport allows you to travel and identify you and has been delivered by a third-party authority. Well, the digital signature works the same way. It's basically a digital passport with information regarding your identity, but in that case, it had been verified by what we call a certificate authority. And Notarius, my company, is a certificate authority. In addition to just your name, and etc., you can have also employment affiliation or professional affiliation. So we can know in that digital signature that you're in fact the CEO of your municipality, or the clerk, or the lawyer, or etc. The thing is, I don't know anyone, or at least I don't know anyone that wakes up in the morning wanting a digital or an electronic signature, at least no one I know. The fact is, when we submit or receive document, what really matters is the reliability of the document. And actually, we decompose that definition of reliability into 4 attributes. So you have identity, integrity, authenticity, and longevity. For the first one, when you look at a document, what do you want to know is who's the signer. Sometimes that person holds a specific position in a municipality or is, for example, an engineer. So you need that attribute that is additional to just the identity. That's what we encompass by the notion identity. For the integrity, well, the concept of integrity of a document involves the ability to confirm the absence of any modification or to be able to detect any modification made to the document since it was finalized or signed. And as you probably all know, just creating a PDF is not enough. A PDF can be easily tampered with and anything can be modified on that document. The third attribute is called authenticity. It's really about proving the first 2 characteristics, so identity and integrity. In the paper world, when you do have that proof of the first 2 within the document, we call it an original. Well, there's the same concept, same notion in the electronic world. We can have digital original. And finally, for the 4th characteristic, so longevity, well, as you know, some documents need to be kept read and authenticate for a long period of time. Think about a title attached to your house, or your will, or drawings and plans. So in a period of 50, 70 plus years, we need to be able to open those documents and be able to identify the signers and the details on those documents. I'm not of the generation of WordPerfect, but I was told if you try to open a document using WordPerfect now, it came up like gravel, so it's not clear, and that's why it's not retro-compatible with the technology. To implement the first three characteristics, we use a non-proprietary standard called digital signature. And for the fourth one, we use an international standard called PDF/A, and the A stands for archive. So it's an archive quality PDF. What do we bring to the table? Notarius has more than 20 years of experience in providing digital identity to both professional and organization, and that includes municipalities across Canada. The goal, and we're really goal-oriented, is to enable that creation of reliable electronic document, like I said, that can be read, opened, and authenticated over a long period of time. A little bit about us. So actually, we were founded by a professional association 20 years ago, and we're still held by that professional association. The goal was to, at that time, give a tool to the notaries in Quebec so they can file electronically into the land registry. We started from there and then moved our way up and replicated that model with other professional associations. We developed that expertise in both digital signature and PDFA. We're certified ISO 9001, 2701 for security of information. We're both a member of the PDF Association, an AATL member, and I'm proud to say that in 2018, we received our certification for EIDAS, which is the European regulation for digital signature in Europe. So actually, we're the first non-European provider to have their signature recognized at the highest level in Europe. Like I mentioned, we have more than 34 partners at our professional association. Any professional that their work product in a form of a document. Think about engineers, lawyers, architects, planners, land surveyors, landscape architects, etc., etc. And as I mentioned, our solutions are used in big and small municipalities across Canada. We also work with government. Let's look at our solution quickly. I'm going to focus on the first two lines of product, as the third one is not relevant at this point for municipalities. So Certifio, like I said, it's really the identity. It's the digital signature. Consigno, it's our line of product for productivity tool. We have Consigno Desktop to sign document digitally on your computer, and we have Consigno Cloud, which is our e-signature platform that we'll focus on in a few minutes. So those are the two major solutions that were used by the municipality during the pilots. As I mentioned, you have to see Certifio as the digital signature. It's a certified identity, which is the result of a face-to-face ID verification. It has been issued by a third party, which is ourselves, and for example, the employee and department specific product. Well, we also have the attestation that the person using that signature is in fact an employee of Kincardine or Prescott and Russell, or that it is the Department of Building and Planning from Brampton that signed that document. The output is an electronic original, which is a self-containing proof. You don't need anything else. Within the document, you're able to see that it was signed, for example, by the clerk department of Simcoe. So you have all that information embedded within the document. The product is desktop-based, and I'll pass the when to use it because I want to present Consigno Cloud first. So Consigno Cloud, it's a web-based e-signature platform. So actually, it's a workflow tool. So when you have a project, a signature project that involves multiple parties, you need a tool that will make it such that signers will be able to sign the document remotely. So this is why we created that solution. In that solution, you can leverage different level of identity. So the project initiator on that platform will choose, for example, someone that doesn't have a digital signature. You don't need that to use Consigno Cloud, for example. They'll select an email, a second factor of authentication, and that's it. They'll launch the project. The signer will receive an email, click on the link provided, have a second factor to authenticate themselves, because we don't want someone that has access to the signer's email address to click and sign at his place. So that's why we implemented a two-FA. And once all the signature is collected, the output is an electronic document that is signed electronically, and you have an audit trail. So when you compare both outputs, you all have, in both scenarios, you all have the proof needed to document the process and identify the signer. For the mobility, it's very convenient. You can sign remotely from a mobile. And really the difference of when to use those two solutions is that like I said, you really have to see digital signature as a certified identity. Some people at the municipality will need that higher reliable signature, CAOs, mayor, for example. Whereas the other is really, like I said, a workflow tool that allows you to do different manipulation. And within that, you can choose signers that have a digital signature or that don't have a digital signature. When you look at the benefits, well, easy, no need to duplicate documents. So no need to have a paper and an electronic version. No more printing, signing, and scanning. That gives the municipality flexibility to redesign and rethink their processes. For smaller municipality, and that I remember was a big issue for smaller municipalities when I was at Roma, cost saving in storage. We're talking also about operational cost saving, reduction in delay. So when you're sending a document, council minute that needs to be signed by multiple people, well, it takes time. When you send it electronically, this way using Consigno Cloud, well, you can collect the signature pretty easily. Labor saving, you don't have to, like I said, print, sim, scan, and then archive. It's simple and efficient, and it's legally reliable. Testing the water. Well, after a strong and ongoing relationship with AMO, we found, like Nicholas mentioned, that the best way to introduce electronic and digital signature to municipalities was by conducting pilot projects. So the goal was really to let the municipality get familiar with the technology and try it at their own pace and for different use cases. After 6 months of work and collaboration, I'm very pleased to see where all of the 6 municipalities they're at. What they have accomplished in such short period of time, even if they're still at the early stage of the experimentation. They all had their roadblock, and the adoption was shy and slow in the beginning. As I think it is to expect from any implementation of new technology. But looking forward, I'm sure they will quickly be able to measure the benefit and efficiency that this technology is bringing in their day-to-day operation, and thanks to their leadership for being ahead of the curve. Without further ado, let's hear them share their journey.
Thanks, Nada. So I think we'll turn things right over to Marc-Andre Jouin in the United Counties of Prescott and Russell. So Marc-Andre, we'll just unmute you, and the floor is yours.
organization is that we're one of the upper tier counties, and we're called the counties of Fresca and Russell. We're composed of 8 municipalities, and one of our biggest challenges is that we're scattered across maybe a little bit over 20 branches offices. So from an IT perspective, it was a kind of a no-brainer to try to embrace the paperless processes. But as mentioned, it's always a challenge, and it's always slow to engage. So one of our main quick wins is to try to, as you can see, it's difficult to process paper workflow across a little over 20 branches offices. So that's a little bit of an overview of how we're disposed as a business. So why did the Prescott and Russell transition to a digital platform? Well, for many reasons. One, just to echo what I mentioned before, is that we wanted to optimize and transform our business processes. So one of the biggest challenges is not only to implement the IT side of things, but it's also to understand how people work within their departments and to sit down with them and to understand their processes and not to be afraid to immerse yourself and understand their day-to-day work. So we wanted to try to convince people to buy in is that we of course we're saving time. For security and reliability is a no-brainer. From an IT perspective, physical space, it didn't make sense for us to try to discuss with engineering to have additional spaces within our offices to store paper. So we wanted to tell them we could save on that side of things. A lot of our upper management are also very mobile, so it's always difficult to get them to sign paper. You always have to wait to get them to sign paper. So with those platforms, it's another nice to have to be able to go paperless. One of the biggest challenge is not the IT side of things to, I guess, to distribute or to implement those solutions. It's always to get the buy-ins from the users. So at the counties, we're lucky that we have a CEO that is always he's very technical and he's always willing to engage with the technology. So we got the buy-in from him to start with. So that was the first thing that we did. And also is that being in IT, we have a lot of relationship with different departments. So for us, it's easy to establish relationship, and we were able to identify champions to work with us and to help us understand their business processes and to help implement the solution. So, and just to echo on what Nada said before, it's a slow process, and you have to be willing to go bit by bit and to I guess to come across challenges. So there's no way about it. It's a tough journey, but in the end, it makes sense, and there's a lot of benefit to it.
Sorry, Marc-Andre, it's Nicholas here. Are you moving your slides? I'm getting some comments that people can't see your slideshow.
Yes, I'm moving my slides. I'm up to what are you guys seeing? Did you see why should digital signature be a priority?
We are actually just at the first page.
Okay, so yes, I was moving my slides, and I can only see my slides. So I'm wondering why would that be? I think Nada, you had the same challenges. I'm not sure how you came about.
It's lagging.
It's lagging. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Do it again. Now we can see it move.
Unless I leave it like that, I don't mind you guys seeing my notes. Can you see the why should digital signature be a priority at this point?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so I'll leave it like that. So, while security and reliability is one of the main concerns, I was seeing more and more people getting a copy of their handwritten signature. They would paste it in documents, and of course, from an IT perspective, it's easy to get a copy of those digital image and just to distribute them all over the place. So with a real digital signature, you have to type in a username and a password. or a two-factor authentication. So for us, it's more secure. We're protecting the identity of the user itself. Nobody can reproduce those digital signature. And as mentioned by Nada, again, it's legally undisputable. The integrity of the document, and there's auditing and tracking. You can tell whenever somebody signed, when they signed it, and who signed it. So here are a few use cases that we started with. We started with very basic use case. We have a communication and marketing departments that were distributing official communiques and stuff like that. And we wanted to make sure that whenever we're sending off a communique, that they're digitally signed so that nobody can modify the content of a PDF or an official document. So that being said, is that if that document is being published and being distributed, as long as the digital signature appears within the document, we know that it's still our official communique and nobody tampered with it. Contracts, it was a challenge to get contract signed. We would wait. It could go up to 2 weeks to get the contract signed. Now we can sign documents in a matter of minutes, as long as the third party are willing to do so. And we did that with Consigno Cloud, because even though that the third party doesn't have a digital signature, with the platform, they will be identified as a electronic signature, and the security is attached to the Notarius system. So that's the other product that we're using for. And in early 2019, with our new member of council, as many of you know, we have a new council. Elections are just done. So in 2019, we're going to start signing our bylaws, and everything that will come from council will be signed at the end of the meetings with our digital signature. It might be the warden, it might be any of the mayors, so we're going to do that. And also, on the other, another aspect of the electronic paperless process is that we're going to move to electronic approvals too, that are not entirely tied to digital signature, but it'll be a form of electronic signature. Things to keep in mind: the lessons learned throughout the project, as you might understand, is to effectively manage corporate change. It's always difficult. We do have a culture at the counties that we're very open to change, but still it's always a challenge. People will ask you questions. They don't understand why we want to change process, but we try to keep a positive approach with the transformation, and people are buying in, and they're starting to see the benefits of engaging in those types of projects. And it's just I guess, again, to keep positive with the project. Change will happen slowly, but in the long run, it's going to save everybody time, money, and we're going to be more efficient. So that's my presentation. I'll toss it over to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, Marc-Andre, and I know that you've got to leave the webinar for a court case. So if there's any questions that come up for Marc-Andre, we'll try and answer them here, but we can pass it along to him for some feedback as well too. So now I'll turn things over to, just 1 second, to Donna McDougall from the municipality of Kincardine. And Donna, you're up.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Donna McDougall, clerk at Kincardine. Amberly Weaver, who is the planning coordinator here at Kincardine, and I will be presenting information on our involvement in the pilot project. The municipality of Kincardine, we have a population of approximately 12,000 residents, and we're located on the shores of Lake Huron. Bruce Power is located within the municipality, and this results in one of Canada's leading energy clusters being centered in and around our community. And we also have a prosperous local agribusiness sector. We employ about 300 staff, including full-time, part-time, contract, seasonal, etc. The operations are decentralized, so we have a municipal office, recreation facilities, road garages, water treatment plant, fire halls, and various other facilities located throughout the municipality. However, there's often a need to get signatures from one department to another, and the Consigno allows us to have an avenue to eliminate the need to transfer paper documents. In concert with our website redevelopment, we developed digital priorities as an initial step to aid in the digital transformation. These priorities included ensuring services are provided to the public in the platform they prefer. Actions to achieve the goals included focusing on online service delivery and electronic forms, and the exploration of opportunities for use of electronic and/or digital signatures. So it worked out perfectly in December of 2017 when AMO announced the partnership with Notarius. We submitted our name and we were lucky enough to be selected to participate. And coinciding with this, we had council look at an electronic signatures policy so that we actually could allow electronic signatures. And we thought this would help to enhance customer service and lead to more efficient business operations. I don't think that any of us have any real choice about digital transformation. It is happening, and it does allow our processes to be more efficient and accessible for residents. It enhances our business activities. It's environmentally friendly with less paper being used, and it expedites workflow processes for staff. The council here has been very supportive about advancing digitally through their approval of the digital priorities, the electronic signatures policy, and the AMO Notarius pilot. Amberly is going to explain the various uses that we have implemented and the benefits of using electronic signatures. And she's also going to talk about her direct experience in using the Notarius products.
Thank you, Donna. So Consigno has been very useful in my daily tasks. I have primarily used Consigno for correspondence items, such as formal responses and planning letters. By using Consigno, I'm able to have my supervisor approve and sign documents if she's out of the office or has a day full of meetings. Specifically for standard letters, it adds the level of security being approved instead of just adding an image of the signature, as Nada had mentioned earlier. It also maintains the quality of a document instead of printing out a letter to sign and simply scan it back into email on. As a result, I've been able to speed up response times. Kincardine is working towards decreasing the amount of unnecessary paper, and Consigno has allowed us to explore the transition to strictly electronic files, as there's no need to print. I've also utilized Consigno for signatures outside of the organization, for example, with encroachment agreements, which we do not register on title. I'm able to speed up this process significantly instead of mailing out copies of the agreement to residents, waiting for them to sign them, return them to the office. I'm notified as soon as they have electronically signed. In addition to the benefits I have mentioned, Consigno also allows us to directly transfer our electronic records into our electronic records management system, and it also reduces our postage costs. I've seen the benefits Consigno has brought to my daily tasks, and I look forward to continuing to expand our use of digital signatures throughout the municipality of Kincardine.
So in conclusion, Kincardine considers the use of electronic and/or digital signatures has proven to be effective, and it keeps us in line with our digital priorities and the electronic signatures policy that we did have approved by council. We have chosen to continue our relationship with Notarius by using Consigno Cloud, and we expect the use of electronic and digital signatures to continue to increase. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. That was great. Just to participants on the webinar, if you do have questions to any of the panelists or us here at AMO, there is the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You can enter in those questions there, and we will respond at the Q&A portion of the agenda. So right now, I'll turn things over to Josh McDougall in the municipality of Red Lake, and he doesn't have a PowerPoint, but he'll go through the Red Lake's experience using the Notarius solution. So Josh, over to you.
Hello?
Hi, Josh.
Right on. So we're a small municipality up in Northern Ontario, and it was a real opportunity for us to participate in this pilot, because I don't think it would have been something if we would have really had a chance to do otherwise in terms of getting digital signatures and getting our feet wet. The biggest thing for going digital for us is we're physically running out of storage space for our existing files, and as these files are growing, we're looking at having to build more infrastructure to store all the files that we're creating. And also, we've been having a drive towards creating more accessible documents. And a scanned and signed document, while it's got that signature and it's, you know, official, it doesn't have the accessibility that a true PDF type A document will have. So with that, also the convenience and the convenience of electronic communications is something that we really need to leverage to reduce, you know, mailing costs, but also to increase the speed at which we can do business with residents and contractors. And it's also a part of public expectation. So as people are getting more tech savvy and more, you know, used to these sorts of communications, we want to rise to meet the expectations of the public. And if they expect us to be able to operate over email and operate over the internet, then we need a platform that allows us to do that. And this did a great job of that. We had a bit of resistance to buying into the pilot initially when we were putting this out to council. There was a lot of resistance that I think was rooted in a resistance to move to paperless. And this sort of they saw this as sort of the same sort of strategy. And it is, but they wanted to have more paper, not less paper, which there wasn't much we could do to get around that. But we were, the CAO and the mayor and AMO's reputation were enough to make them reconsider and to move forward with the pilot to do that. There was also some confusion about like what encryption was and what this was going to do. But I think once it was explained to them, the people that they were eventually able to really grasp on what the concepts were, and it was helpful to have Notarius to do that with us. Also, the free pilot made it a lot easier. So there was a little bit of an issue getting staff to sign up at the first, but that was once we moved to a more one-on-one sort of, or like one to department manager sort of operation, it got a lot easier and people really signed up more quickly for it. The initial changes for going digital, it seemed that it was easiest to achieve by picking easy workflows, that changing it from a paper to a digital wasn't a lot of extra work, and it wasn't something that really required a lot of thought. And people using those workflows, it went really good. We used it. I think the first application of it was for the collective bargaining agreement that was done, and there was a lot of people in different places that needed to sign the documents, and it sort of came together really quickly, a lot quicker than otherwise would have been possible. Then things like purchase orders, contracts. There was some stuff that the Treasury did. We got a new treasurer just recently, and they had to set up all their information and their accounts with the bank to do that, and they did it all with digital signatures, and they did it really quickly, and they were really impressed. Yeah. And there was also the one really great use case that came up was when our building inspector, who's a part-time worker, was going on an extended vacation, and he was looking to take his fax machine along with him so that he could work remotely, still get stuff done while he was traveling around the south of the province. We set him up really quickly, probably within half a day, and had him using the digital signature platform to communicate back and forth with planning, to approve permit applications, and work through a few other things remotely, which really helped out. Yeah. So the benefits of it for us, I think, you know, in addition to the things that we've already seen with our workforce, you know, helping out a distributed workforce and working through some contracts and that sort of thing. The biggest thing I can see as a IT person is that we're really on the edge of being able to take a lot of processes that are currently part digital and part paper-based, and there's the printing in the middle that really messes things up because a signature is required for whatever reason. And to seeing the API and the options that Notarius is putting forward in terms of, you know, a way forward in the future, like these workflows that are part digital and part paper could really be made into something completely digital. And I think that we would start seeing just incredible benefits in terms of the speed at which we can move and, you know, the public-facing options we would have. That's all I got right here. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Josh. That's a good summary there. Now I'll toss things over to Steve Pellegrini with the City of Brampton, and he'll speak to the city's experience using Notarius solutions. So, Steve, over to you.
Great, thanks. Can you hear me all right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Steve. Steve,
hello, hello. I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Great. So Brampton is the 9th largest city in Canada. We have 6,000 employees serving over 600,000 residents. I am the manager of the project management office. We deal with millions of dollars of projects, and timing is everything. This was one of the projects on our list. That being digital signatures. So when it came across our desk that AMO was partnering with Notarius, it was a great opportunity. And for others that may be on the call, the nice thing is, obviously a large municipality, you know, a little bit more bureaucracy, the larger you get. We have a very large legal staff, and they were right on side when it came with the accolades from AMO. So that was one big hurdle to get through with legal, that it was an identified solution that we could put right into implementation, which we did specifically for contract execution. So this was through purchasing our contracts, whether it was with IT or any of the other types of businesses. Brampton appreciated both NADA's involvement and the team at Notarius. Very good customer service. We had, being a larger municipality, we had some struggles, and some of the struggles have to do with installing software. Not all 6,000 users can install software, so you get into installer privileges and things like that, which cause a little bit of the bumps through the process. In fact, it got to one point where I had a contract that I wanted executed. I had the paper contract in my hands, and I said, okay, we're not doing this. I'm not going to let you people sign this. We're all going to get into the boardroom, and we're all going to get our digital signatures working so that we can execute this right here in this room, which we all did. And at the end of the day, we like to say that we're a green municipality. We want to reduce our carbon footprint and everything like that. It's also the speed at which things happen. Sending couriers out to execute contracts across the country and then have them come back and forth. It was taking literally weeks to a month to execute a contract, and now we can do it within a day. And that results in huge cost savings. So we've just scraped the surface with the implementation here. Nada spoke very eloquently about the benefits, and I concur with each and every one that she's articulated. And we would like to get it implemented in our with all our bylaws, and the big benefit will be in our planning and engineering departments. And we are absolutely going to continue our relationship as we move forward with this. So my comments, if anybody has questions, I'll be more than delighted to answer them.
Okay, great. Thanks, thanks, Dee. That's wonderful. Now I'm going to turn things over to Rebecca Whalen from the County of Dufferin to present. So Rebecca, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to share my presentation here. So I'm from the County of Dufferin, and we are an upper tier municipality northwest of Toronto with about 8 local municipalities. Our offices are located in Orangeville. However, we do also have services located in Shelburne. So we actually did not participate in the full structured pilot project because the timing of the pilot project coincided with a couple of other large projects that we're working on. However, we were provided with the opportunity to test Consigno Cloud, which we really appreciate. The desire for us to start using digital signatures initially came from our community services department. So what they actually were looking for was they wanted to provide clients with an alternative from coming into our office. So they don't want to collect as many wet signatures. They were hoping that they could move to a digital platform. And they felt that that would be an improvement in customer service. And they also wanted to move towards collecting and more documents in electronic format to get away from paper storage. So instead of doing the full pilot project, what we did were demonstrations to key departmental staff in various service areas. So we did community services, which is Ontario Works, Housing, Ontario Children's Services. We did the Clerk's Office. We provided demonstrations to Treasury and Procurement. And we provided demonstrations to Senior Services, which is our long-term care home, as well as our community support services. So they run adult day programs. As we provided the demonstrations, we realized that there are 2 basic scenarios in which documents would be signed. So either where county staff are initiating the signature process, so that would be for things such as contracts and agreements, or where the clients initiate the signature process, so for application forms. The feedback was generally positive. Staff could see the value for time savings, particularly in quick turnarounds for signatures on contracts and agreements. So our warden is not always in the office, and because of the large size of our municipality, that's travel time there, so we could get documents signed much faster from him. A couple of our concerns that did come out in conversations would be getting buy-in from some of the clients, particularly some of our older clients who may not be as familiar with the technology. Another concern was that we do have inconsistent internet access in this area. It's largely rural, and we sometimes have challenges with residents getting internet access. So if clients were relying on this for signatures, we might run into a few problems there. And then we also had concerns about our current electronic records management system. We do have our paper records well managed at this point, but we're still working on our electronic processes, and it's not consistent across every department yet. So we thought that that might be potentially challenging for some of the departments. So what's next for us is we are going to research and develop a digital signatures policy, which will help guide further processes. We are going to continue working on our electronic records management system and hopefully get some more processes in place there and get it in place across the corporation. And then I think we'll go back out and do another pilot of the digital signature platform, and hopefully gather some more feedback and hopefully start to use it more across the corporation. So that's it for me. If you have questions, I will be on the call for a while.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rebecca, for that. I am going to now call on Andrea Fay from the County of Simcoe to present her presentation. Sorry, Andrea, I'm just going to bring up your PowerPoint here.
Great, thank you.
Okay, can you see it okay?
Well, actually, we were having trouble connecting over on our end, but I think there's just a few slides, so we should be okay. I'll just let you know when to click through, if that's all right.
Okay, so right now I'm on the digital signature process slide.
Sounds good. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrea Fay, and I am the Deputy Clerk here at the County of Simcoe. For those of you that don't know, there are 16 lower tier municipalities that comprise the county, and we're located north of the GTA with a population of approximately 465,000 and over 1,850 full-time, part-time employees. You'll notice that some of my comments are similar to those that have been discussed earlier, as obviously there's certainly lots of benefits, there's no question about that. If you don't mind changing to the next slide. So the first thought is why. So the county is, as I'm sure all of your municipalities are, looking at ways to streamline processes and to decrease the need for electronic records. In the case of the county, we have currently a great deal of agreements that come across the clerk's department's desk, and multiple copies of those agreements. So they're brought physically to our department to obtain the necessary signatures. So you've got staff time from people going from the various departments to bring them, drop them off, and then of course pick them up at the end of the day when they're signed. By utilizing electronic signatures and meeting the best evidence standard with electronic documents, the intent is to reduce the number of hard copy agreements that are required to be produced, which in turn will represent cost savings from a paper supply, storage, and of course efficiency standpoint. And in our case, similar to the County of Dufferin, the warden is not full-time in the office, and often they're doing some construction just outside here, if you hear some banging on the walls. Our warden is out of the office, not full-time, and often you will find that there's documents that are urgent that need to be signed. So by having those to be able to be done electronically would certainly benefit us. And in addition, the county is currently in the process of onboarding all of our departments into an electronic document records management system, or EDRMS. So all of those things are kind of the background as to why we were moving forward with this pilot. The next slide, please. And how. So the county clerk, John Daly, had become aware of this pilot project and recommended that the county bylaws be used as our starting point. I know I spoke about agreements, and that's where we'd like to go eventually, but we started out with the bylaws. Now at this time, we didn't require any formal buy-in by council per se, because we were continuing to keep those hard copy bylaws as well. So they were still being signed by the warden, deputy warden, and the clerk. So the staff involved in this trial was, during this process, our warden had stepped down, so we had our deputy warden. So we were starting with him, and obviously John Daly, the county clerk, and myself as the alternate. The committee coordinators within the clerk's department were the ones who were involved in creating that PDF document that you heard reference to, and forwarding it to the warden for signature. He would sign, and then it would be forwarded to John Daly for his signature and the seal, and then forwarded back to the committee coordinators. The next slide. From a change management perspective, certainly we had a few stumbling blocks, and we didn't get to utilize it as much as we would have liked to. Our deputy warden certainly indicated to us on a number of times his preference for paper bylaws, and he felt that pen and paper was much more efficient. So there was a bit of a struggle there, although he was good and helped us with the pilot as well. And in addition, we had experienced a number of hurdles when we were trying to set up those individual signatures and then activating the certificate. So that, I think, in our case, that process took longer, and that was because we needed probably some additional IT support during that stage. And I'm just thinking in our case, we were looking at initializing 3 signatures, certainly to put it across the board and do a lot of departments. We would want to, I think someone had referenced earlier, almost have everybody in the room at once, have the IT support there, and kind of step-by-step walk them through it. It doesn't seem complex, and it probably shouldn't be, but in our case, we did have a few struggles. So due to those things that I had mentioned and some other competing projects, we weren't able to fully utilize or realize the benefits of the product at this time, but certainly we see that there are efficiencies available, and we look forward to continuing and hopefully being able to realize those as we move forward. And that's it for my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, for that. At this point, I think we've reached the Q&A portion of the agenda. So what I'm going to do, and I noticed, Nada, that you've actually answered a couple of questions that we've received, and I encourage people to keep sending those questions in. But I think for everybody on the phone, we'll speak to each. So the first question is from Mark Viola to AMO Notarius. Can you please review the differences between the Notarius solutions and the solutions such as Adobe, i.e. EcoSign and DocuSign? So Nada, if you can answer that. We're just going to unmute all the participants here. Sorry, just one second. Okay, Nada, go ahead.
Okay. I must say that all the e-signature platform work the same way. I'm going to explain. So you have what we call a project initiator. That person will be the one holding an account on those platforms. They will typically upload the document on the platform, select signer, and then the document, well, the platform will send the document to all the signers to collect the signature. So that's the process. When we look at the difference between, for example, Consigno Cloud, which is ours, versus DocuSign, for example, the difference they lie more toward the feature, the security of the platform, and the reliability. So I'm going to give a quick overview of some of the difference. First of all, we're in Canada, and as probably all, you have that same concern regarding the data residency. Our data are preserved on Canadian soil, on Canadian server, whereas DocuSign documents are held in the US territory. So that's because we work with so many government and municipalities, that is a requirement for the data residency. Another example, once the project initiator uploads a document on the platform, it is automatically digitally signed by the platform. Why? Because even someone at Notarius or someone that hacks the platform will not be able to tamper with the original document. Another difference. Remember when I said you launching a project, you select, for example, Nicholas as a signer. Nicholas will receive an email from the platform saying, Nada wants you to sign this agreement. He'll click on the bottom, and then he will be prompted with a web browser. For some of those platforms, they can access directly the document by clicking that link. Whereas in our platform, you need to authenticate yourself a second time. Why? Because as you may know, a lot of, some people in key organizations, they share their Gmail or their email account with their assistant. So we don't want an assistant to sign on behalf of that person. That's why we implemented that second factor. Another difference, for those platforms like DocuSign, at the end of the process, it's a DocuSign signature that is applied onto the document. It's not an individual signature for all the signers, whereas we create a specific entry for all the signers that are involved in the process and the quality of the audit trail. Ours is complete and is digitally signed, so even the audit trail cannot be tampered with. So those are just some of the difference between different products. But like I said, it's feature, security, and reliability. So it's more on a technical side, but they are all important.
Thanks, Nada. Okay, so the next 3 questions, again, I think are going to go to you.
Okay.
If you have and this is from Karen Wallace, if you have a document that requires a signature from an external party, i.e. municipal solicitor or private contractor, how do those parties access the digital signature platform?
Perfect. I'm going to answer that question and ask Steve to comment on his experience at Brampton, because I know he used that for that use case. So how does it work? Very simple. Someone create a signature project. They want you to sign. You'll receive an email. Click on the email link, and you'll be prompted, like I said, with a second factor authentication page. You don't need the signer. It's free for them. They don't need to download any software, and they can sign remotely. So on their cell phone or on their desktop, for example. So they don't need to download something, if that's the end of the question. Steve, if you want to comment on how it was perceived by third party that received document for signature from you.
Yeah, it was actually extremely well perceived. When I sent it off, I followed it with an email. Remember, this is a cloud-based solution. So I sent off an email after it saying, you're going to get this email saying, and I said, just follow the steps. And the person replied back to me and said, it's nice to see that the city's getting in the, the 21st century, because they were excited that they could sign it digitally and sent it back. And there's, I'm not sure if it's clear, but there's a work flow in it. So even internally, I would have documents sent around. So I would send it first to the clerk, and then from the clerk, it would go to the mayor, and then it would come back. And it's all set up within the software. And if they don't do it in time, there's a little feature that you can nudge them to, so that they'll move it along. And it's it's a time saver.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks both. Okay, Nada, again over to you from Kevin Yarosh. In Consigno Cloud, where is the actual PDF-A-based document stored?
Okay, so I have to say for us that Consigno Cloud platform, it's a workflow platform to collect signature. It's not a storage platform. You don't keep your document on that. So how it works, it is encrypted on reception, and at the end of the signature process, the user will have its panel, so his dashboard, where he can download his document, so audit trail and document that is signed. On the platform, it is kept alive for 3 months, not more than that, but the user will receive frequent notification if he hasn't downloaded the audit trail. So like I said, it's a workflow tool, not a document storage tool.
Great. Again, maybe this is for Kincardine. This is from Joanne Barchard. One of the Kincardine speakers said they use the electronic signatures on encroachment agreements because they are not registered. Does this mean that a municipality cannot get documents signed electronically that are to be registered at the land registry office? So Donna, over to you.
So Amberly was only speaking directly about the encroachment agreements because we don't register them on title, but we did consult with our solicitor prior to going into the program, and they indicated to us that there's no requirement that an original signature be needed for documents if it's going into the land title system. If it's under the registry system, then original signatures are mandatory in order to register the documents.
Okay, great. Thank you. Question, I think this is for you, Nada, from Mary Birch. What is required by the outside party to be able to sign a document sent to them digitally?
Nothing. When it's sent through Consigno Cloud platform, they need to, like I said previously, they don't need to download any software. They'll just receive an email. They'll click on the link. They'll be asked for like either a password, which was sent secretly by the project initiator, or an SMS code, or a phone call just to enter the code. And that's pretty much how it goes. So they don't need to install anything. And they can do that remotely on their computer or on their cell phone.
Okay, Great. Next question from Cerise Lee. Will we be able to get the slides after the session? I can answer that. Yes, you can. We also are recording this webinar live, so we'll have all the information up on the AMO website, and we'll just follow up with participants with how you can access the material. From Usman Usmani, how can the platform be utilized in case of B2C cases, i.e. in day-to-day activities centered around residents such as childcare, health services, etc., where information needs to be filled and signed on paper forms?
That's an excellent question. Okay, so the Consigno Cloud, one of the package come with what we call an API. So with the API, which is an interface, program interface between Consigno Cloud and something else, you can have that implemented in, integrated in either a software or to sign form. So that needs integration. We're not talking about paper form in that case. We'll be talking about, like, for example, you have a website, you have a form, an electronic form to be filled. With the integration of Consigno Cloud, you can add a sign-in capacity at the end of the process. So that's how you do it.
Thank you. Again, Nada, for you, this is from John Brown. How does this work if a third party is using another digital signature platform with verification through that system? Or will Consigno still send them an email to verify through this specific program?
Okay. To the other question, one of the other difference with our platform versus the other one is that if a document is already digitally signed and it's uploaded on Consigno Cloud, we won't strip the digital signature. So we'll preserve the document at the entry as it was entered. But for the project initiator, they have two choices. Either they can use, for someone that already have a digital signature from us, they can choose that option, or the other option for the signer will be email plus second factor authentication. So actually, someone that have another type of digital signature, to my knowledge, won't be able to sign directly, but I'll have to double check with my IT colleagues to see if there's something we can leverage at some point.
Okay, great. This one's from Jeanette Amini. Quick question. We typically type up a contract, PDF it, and then email it to a company for signatures. They print it, sign it, and email it back. We then do the same. Is this legal? I'm hearing how specifically Brampton actually was sending contracts out across the country for signatures and then waiting for them to be returned. So maybe both Nada and Steve from Brampton can answer this question.
Yes. From the legality perspective, whether it's an image of an electronic signature, an e-signature platform, or a digital signature, they all are valid under the law. The question is, it's the reliability behind it. So as we mentioned toward that presentation, using an image can be easily copy and paste. So actually, when that document ends up in court, you'll have someone will need a corroborating evidence. So it can be in a form of a testimony. So someone will have to testify to the validity or the authenticity of that document. Let me just check. Yeah, this is the general rule in Canada. In some contexts, some area of law and some for some specific document, the electronic form is not accepted. So you have to check if there is an exception for that type of document, or if we can go by the general rule, which is technology neutrality and functional equivalence that allow document to be electronically signed or digitally signed.
So if you want a practical answer, the City of Brampton requires originals, or now this application, which has made all staff very excited, because we used to do contracts and we'd agree, and yes, electronic, people would sign and scan it back, but we wanted the originals. Now with the Notarius solution, we're good. We don't need pen and paper any longer.
Okay, great. Thanks, Steve and Nada. Next question again over to you, Nada. Does each user require full PDF licensing? That's from Heather Wrightley.
To review digitally signed document, I would add, no. So once a document is digitally or electronically signed, you end up with a PDF or a PDFA. You just need a PDF reader. That's it. So there's a lot of that are free. Adobe has one that is free. So any PDF reader.
Thanks. From Usman again, is it easy to integrate the platform with different systems as we have processes already built on systems?
I'm not on the IT verse of my company, but to my knowledge, yes, it is. Our API is pretty simple. It's simple commands. It needs integration. And actually what we're doing now is because of our new clientele in Ontario, whenever, for example, there's Prescott and Russell that wants signature, but they're using another type of platform, we're communicating with those software vendors. And actually, we're developing something with eScribe, so it's to come.
Thanks. I think the next two questions kind of combine into one. From Kay Martin, do you have an example to show? And from John Brown, can we see the software in action?
To both those questions, they can contact us and we can do a demo. Unfortunately, I have to switch. I'll do the demo. It's not the purpose of the webinar now, but yes, we can certainly show you the Consigno Cloud in action. And in fact, if you go on www.consignocloud.com, you can test the platform for free. So for a limited period, but you can still test it and see it by yourself and experience it.
Thanks. This is from Kaylin Bell-Chamber to any smaller municipality. If IT resources are extraordinarily limited, i.e. one person, is implementation of Notarius viable? So maybe if we could look to Donna from Kincardine, Josh from Red Lake, could you speak to that question from Kaylin?
Sure. I'll go first if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have one IT person as well. You heard comments made about that there were some hurdles with the software. But honestly, with Consigno Cloud, there was no issue at all for Kincardine. We did run into problems with the digital signature and getting the certificates for everybody. But the Consigno Cloud is simple and easy. And I actually, once it got loaded onto our system, I was able to manage authorizing people to use the program. So I think if you have one IT person, you're good for Consigno. And maybe Nada can talk more later about the Certifio part of it.
Josh, do you have anything to add?
It's definitely doable. Small municipality with one person.
So
and I will add to that one of the key takeaway from that experience for all the municipality, as you know, municipality have IT environment that are pretty constrained. So it is imperative that you have someone that can open the port, prepare the computer and the access. So when we need to install those digital signature and software, it goes easily. So that's part of the overall process, but I don't think it is specific to digital signature. It's specific for any type of program. So if you have one IT, they can make sure all ports and are open. And we have a great team, as we mentioned, a great team of IT support at Notarius. They will be pleased to help you if you don't have IT support in your municipality.
Thanks, everyone. From Cerise Lee, if there are multiple signers, would people be able to see who has already signed? And I guess that goes to the next question too from Mary Birch. Is the receiver able to review the document before signing? How are amendments handled?
Okay, so depending on how, because in the Consigno Cloud, you can either send the document in sequence for signer to use, or you can send the document to all the signer, or it can be a mix. So it depends what's the scenario. Sometimes for specific document, you need a workflow. So as Steve, I think, mentioned, we need to get that person first signed and then this one. sometimes it doesn't matter, whomever. So yes, depending the scenario, you'll be able to see who signed, but the one that has control over the workflow is really the project initiator.
And I guess that goes to Mary Birch's question next. Is the receiver able to review the document before signing, and how are amendments handled?
They're certainly able to review the document before signing it. Amendment, they're going to have to redo the project, because once you have to see the signature platform as the last step when every review are done, etc. So my suggestion is to have the document reviewed and amend, and to have that final version uploaded for signature.
Thanks. Okay, from John Brown, have any municipalities used this with documents going to the province, and will the province accept the electronic signatures? So I can speak to a bit of this question, John. We have received some pushback in certain departments within the province that will not accept digital signatures. That said, we are doing some work on our end at our executive director level to do some advocacy work to make sure that this current government knows that, you know, electronic and digital signatures, it's an efficiency thing, and that we should absolutely be pushing this a bit further. I'm not sure if any of the municipalities on the line have had experience with documents being signed by the province, but I'll open it up to the floor.
They need to get him a chair.
So no one's had experience on the line using electronic signatures or digital signatures with the provincial government. Okay, that's something I guess we'll have to follow up with.
I think Prescott did, but they're not there to share their experience. But what they've shared with me is that the challenge was just because it's a change management more than anything. Sometimes there's administrative barriers, so not so much in the legal nature of how the document is legal or reliable or not. It's more on how they can handle those documents. So I think education and awareness are a big part of that adoption in the province and on other sectors.
If the province can still accept faxes, they should be able to move in a direction to accept electronic and digital signatures. I think I'll just leave it at that. From Steve Clark, how do you control the version if a final is further updated? Would all key stakeholders be notified? Example, a building permit is signed, but then it is discovered that a further change is required and needs to be re-signed, or is it up to a municipality to ensure all users have the most up-to-date copy? Nada, can you answer that one?
Yeah, so for the what has been shared with me by engineers and architects, they have to, and I know sometimes they send plan and drawing to be submitted. You have to see they take a picture of it by signing the document. I know that those documents keep to be evolved, and they can be re-signed at some point, or other document, another version of that document. But there's no magic in the way you can keep track. You need that most dated version, and yeah, that's how I could answer, but it's not too specific. I should ask some of my colleagues to better answer that question.
From Tracy Bailey, have any municipalities had issues with outside agencies thinking that the consignor emails may be a phishing email and then delete that email?
Not to my knowledge, and Steve, what he did, for example. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I said no, not to my knowledge, and I like what Steve did. He notified, he said, hey, you receive a document electronically, so accept it. So I don't think we've experienced that case so far. In the email that is provided for signature, so when someone is sending a document to be signed, there's an email, and at the end, you have the project initiator. So for example, if I sent the document to be signed to Nicholas, well, at the end, if you have question, you can call my number. So that's how someone can just verify if it's legitimate or not. So there's that avenue as well.
Thanks. From Paul DeLosa, can a digital signature represent multiple people or an organization, i.e. a development approval authority within a municipality who stamps engineering drawings for approved construction?
Yes, actually, in the way, like I said, in my presentation, I mentioned the digital signature for employee, but we also have one for department. So that's a digital certificate that can be specific to a department or to a municipality, for example. So it's held by multiple people, but you have that trace that it's coming from, let's say, the building and permit department. So yes, it is totally possible. And for the organization, we have another product that is for larger volume. So when you need to, bigger organization that needs to sign documents in volume and sign them, we do have as well an automated digital signature for that purpose.
Thanks. More of a comment from John Brown. Digital signatures are not accepted for any election-related activity under the Municipal Elections Act.
And Nicholas, I just wanted to, maybe you were going to mention, actually, under the Municipal Elections Act, candidates can file their financial statements electronically. And so in that case, they have to sign it. So they must be able to submit an electronic signature.
Okay, thanks, Donna. And from Gordon Duff, the recent Main Street initiative only accepted digital signatures. That's right, we did test out the Consigno Cloud platform here with AMO. We wanted those municipal funding agreements signed with the Notarius platform. There were a few municipalities that prefer going the old paper route, so we allowed that to happen, but you know, we're slowly getting there step by step. So that's it from questions, I think, from the floor, unless anybody else wants to send something in. I actually have a few questions to our municipal presenters. Did your municipality require a digital signature policy to implement Notarius's technology? Maybe Donna, I think you spoke to it a bit, so I'll throw it over to you.
We did, and that was based on our legal advice that we should have that in place, that council was acknowledging the use of the digital or electronic signatures. So we did pass a policy before we entered into the pilot project.
Josh in Red Lake?
It did go before council. I'm not sure if it's an official policy, but they did approve the use of it.
Okay. Steve from Brampton?
Again, it was a pilot, so we're under that umbrella, and it was sanctioned by our legal department.
Okay. And Rebecca from Dufferin?
Because we were only testing the system, at this point we don't have a policy in place. However, I believe that our direction would be to probably put a policy in place in the future should we continue to use a platform for digital signatures.
Okay, and Andrea from Simcoe, did you as well?
Yes, so we continue to sign bylaws hard copies, so we didn't do that at this point, but certainly that would be our thought process moving forward.
Okay, and if it's helpful for any other municipalities, maybe we can, as a part of some of the next steps going forward on this, AMO can put maybe some sample digital signature policies on our website that municipalities can then access and then tailor to their own needs. That's
that would be wonderful.
Okay. Just going to go through any further questions here. Oh yeah, Nada. What are the costs of the digital signature solutions?
Okay, so we're going to speak about the digital signature first. It is a yearly subscription. Depending on the type of signature, as I mentioned, there's Certifio for employee, there's Certifio for department. So we're talking about $100, a little bit more than $100, depending of the type of signature. We can provide more information regarding the pricing to specific municipality. And for the e-signature platform Consigno Cloud, we have, like I said, consignocloud.com. There's a pricing for individual. It's $16 per month for one license. For the business version, it's $400 per year per person, and we have also an enterprise version. And the enterprise version is by volume again. And what's nice with the enterprise is that it is completely customizable. So it's white labeling to be tailored to the municipality appearance, logo, and etc. And it also comes with the possibility of an API. And the lowest pack of signature is for 1,200 signature. You can it's 3,600 per year. So that's the lowest pack. And the more you go with pack and volume, the cheaper the price is.
Thanks. One further question for you, Nada, for me. What levels of training does Notarius offer?
So actually, we've been that, like I said, for doing that in that headspace for more than 20 years. We have developed guides, video. We have a weekly webinar for Consigno Cloud, and we do have a weekly webinar for the use of a digital signature. So those tools are available at any time. We also have our customer care and sales team to help you and answer questions.
Great. And one last question. I think this one I'll direct to Steve from Brampton. How have clients reacted to using digital signatures?
Clients, as I said, it's right now it's novel to a lot of people, but it's being well received. It's a very easy application and process to use once you get over that little bit of hurdle about getting it implemented. Once it's implemented, to use it, you log in using a password that only you know, and away you go. So it's quite easy.
Great, thanks. Okay, seeing that there are no further questions from the floor, I think I'll wrap things up with some next steps. So thank you everyone that participated on the webinar for the questions. I think we had some very good discussion there. Right now, we are going to be in the process of writing a final report on the pilots, on their reactions to using the Notarius solutions. And we will distribute that report to members before the end of the year. So please watch out for that through the various AMO channels. We will continue to promote and communicate the partnership with Notarius for 2019 and beyond. We will be populating the AMO website with Notarius resources and other key information like that sample digital signature policy I was speaking about. And we may do some further webinars like this on a go-forward basis. And I'm sure that Notarius too will also have a presence at the 2019 AMO conference in Ottawa. I encourage you to reach out to Notarius for specifics if you're interested in further information, technical details, or if you're keen on starting to implement digital signatures into your own administration and operations. And with that, thanks to Nada, thanks to all of our municipal presenters for taking the time to present today. And to everyone on the line that took their lunch break off to participate and listen in, we really appreciate it. So have a great day, everyone, and thank you.